Well, welcome to the Foggcast. Your what was once weekly podcast where we discuss Kirk Fogg, the host of the Legends of the Hidden Temple, amongst other things. In fact, usually other things. It's been quite a time since we have done this. In fact, I don't know, when was the last time we had an episode?
Sometime last year, maybe.
It was in North Carolina last year,
Yeah.
so like late, maybe around August, something like that. Yeah, thank you, everyone. First of all, so tonight, I guess our sponsors tonight, our plugs. Of course, we have. I'm drinking Coca-Cola. This is classic. No, it's original formula, and also our other plug, the Chicken Ranch. Now, this is a Mexican restaurant, authentic Mexican food that not only does it no longer exist, but it actually never existed. There's actually a story behind that in this sign. And Nick, you actually played a role in the Chicken Ranch whole ordeal, or just basically. What it was, we were in Hickory, right? Like one of my trips down there. You there?
Yeah, the sound, you've got a lot of echo.
Oh, there's an echo?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like, I guess there's a lot of reverb, like, I don't know.
Should I try to use headphones or?
Maybe, that might help. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, try that.
All right. Let me get some headphones then.
Okay.
And while I'm gone, if you'd like to tell the Chicken Ranch story.
Okay, the Chicken Ranch story, folks. Okay, well, let's see. There used to be this little strip mall place in Hickory that had a few stores, and over the years it's changed ownership. The different buildings there have had various establishments in them, and at one point, about, maybe 8 years ago, there was a restaurant moving into this particular strip, and it was going to be called Jose Rivera's Chicken Ranch. And we knew this because they put their sign up before the actual restaurant had really been fully installed or prepared. And they we kind of, one time Daniel and I saw the sign and we just thought, hey, let's go check this place out. So we went up to the building that the advertised, looked inside, and noticed that it was about halfway finished. They had some tables and chairs in there, and a counter and some other stuff. A few things still left over from the last business.
Yeah.
And there happened to be a sign, a little like piece of paper on the door that we noticed, which it was basically like an official notice from the city of Hickory, or
like the health department or the city or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been the health
Jose
department.
Rivera, I believe, was the guy's name.
Yeah, and it basically told him that like he could not continue to make this business, or like, you know, construction had to stop until he got some permits and stuff, because apparently what had happened was he just sort of like seen this empty space and just kind of started.
He just decided I'm gonna make a chicken ranch there.
Yeah.
I don't need. He didn't really. He had no. I mean, this Mexican guy just he didn't realize that he had to get or any of the necessary legal paperwork that you need to have filled out to actually open up a restaurant, you know, or a place that serves food. He just thought, you know, I just, you know, I want to make a chicken ranch. And this is, you know, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my dream.
So, for all we know, he just kind of like broke in there and just started building a restaurant, and
yeah, pretty much. And then I guess the place got locked down, and they you know, locked the doors, chained them or whatever, and left a sign saying, you know, "Dear Mr. Jose Rivera, in order to open up this restaurant, you know, several food permits or whatever, I don't forget the actual wording, but basically all these permits are required, and you can't just make a chicken ranch. That's not how this country works. It should work that way. I'm not saying that, you know, it's right. I think if you want to make a chicken ranch, you should do it. Follow your dream, and not have to get the government involved. I mean, I trusted Jose. I'll bet his authentic Mexican food was delicious. But
probably so.
Oh well. But anyhow, yeah. So yeah, I think as like a birthday gift, you went and slowly took all the screws out of the sign by the road. And
well, actually, what happened was, you know, we like. So the notice went up on the door, and I guess Jose was not willing to fight for his dream. He just kind of abandoned the project, and
which we can definitely relate to.
Yeah.
How many projects have we abandoned in our life?
Yeah. So yeah, like once he got that notice, there was, I guess, no longer going to be a chicken ranch. So the building just remained vacant for a long time, but the sign stayed up. Like, you know, it was just it kind of teased you, like there's gonna be a chicken ranch here, just you wait. But we knew the truth, and
we knew.
So yeah, we used to talk about just like how nice it would be to have that sign, and just like,
I mean, because Jose was a kindred spirit, you know, as far as like failure and failed dreams and abandoning our dreams, like it's definitely a kindred spirit, you know, a connection.
We understood, like,
and the name of itself, just Chicken Ranch. That sounds like a fortune teller song, which is, you know, our whole band. Like if there's like no effort involved in the top, just ridiculous. Chicken Ranch, but
So it was pretty symbolic for us, and just also just good on its own as a thing, the sign. So yeah, we used to talk about it, and I knew that like trying to get it was going to be, I mean, we wanted to own this thing, but I had no idea how to go about taking that. I thought, you know, that would definitely result in an arrest or something like that.
Right.
But lucky for us at the time was talking to and hanging out with a fine young man named John Blitch. Tall, strange, very intelligent guy who used to live in Hickory and now has kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. I wish he would come back. John, if you're out there, I miss you. Everybody does.
Yeah, definitely.
And he kind of he heard me and maybe Liz and maybe, I don't know if you were there when he was there. You might have met him before. I'm not sure.
I I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's he came. I think he came to one of our shows in Asheville as the Lonely Roaches.
That's right. That's where. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he liked. He was always somebody who was up for adventure and doing things that were questionable. So, whatever year that was, around Christmas time, John set out with some tools and a dream, and I don't know if he did it over a series of nights or all in one night, but he went to that sign and acted like, he was supposed to be there, like he was the official guy that was getting rid of that sign. And, you have to keep in mind that it's on, like, the sign was right off of 127, which is one of the busiest roads in Hickory. There's always traffic going by there. So
constant. No matter, even late at night, 24 hours, there's traffic. And I remember I suggested that either you or him, when we were talking about stealing the sign, I suggested that you just dress up like Jose Rivera, like just like wear a full sombrero and a mustache and a poncho. That drew a little too much attention to you.
Yeah, so. And there's no way John could have ever pulled that off because he's about 6'7". He's a extremely tall, skinny white guy who could never imitate any kind of Mexican, no matter what. He's probably like twice as tall as your average Mexican. I mean, not quite that much, but he's an extremely tall guy and very noticeable.
Absolutely.
So, but he didn't really.
We're this far into the new season of the podcast and the Foggcast, and it feels good to finally start being racist again. We're already.
Yes, I agree. So, so John, he went out and he got that sign, but he didn't tell me or anybody else that he was going to do that. And then one day he showed up at my house, was just hanging out with him and a few other people. And he's like, I have something to show you. Come out to my car. And I look in his back seat and there's the Jose Rivera's Chicken Ranch sign. And he says, "Merry Christmas, Nick." And it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I didn't know how to thank him. I don't even think I had a gift for him, like, because I wasn't expecting to do any kind of gift exchange with him or anybody else, really. But yeah, so I never was able to make that up for him, to him. But he was like, I mean, I think he enjoyed the adventure. And he was
that was a gift in itself for him.
Yeah. He probably, like, if he didn't know that we wanted it, he may very well have just gone and taken it for himself just because he liked it. And so he gave it to me as a gift, and I knew that Daniel wanted it. So I re-gifted it to you. And now it's
much appreciated.
Yeah, now it's in the great state of Mississippi, and the legacy of Jose Rivera's Chicken Ranch lives on. I bet
we're spreading.
Yeah.
But speaking of like the subtle racism about Mexicans, as far as the whole sombrero idea and all that stuff. And their short stature, but I heard like a stereotype that's just I've never heard before here in Mississippi. Is actually from a girl I'm seeing now, like, and she's from Alabama actually, but she's not racist or anything, but she just says some funny stuff sometimes. Like she said, we were driving through my parents' neighborhood to go to my mom's house, and we passed a pink house. And she said, "I wonder who lives there. I'll bet it's Mexicans." I'm like, what? Apparently, like Mexicans like pink houses.
I think they just like I mean, I think they like houses that are like brighter colors in general than most other people would accept.
Oh yeah, no. She says specifically pink. Like she
okay.
knew, like there are a few pink houses around where she lives, and they're all owned by Mexicans apparently.
What about
I didn't know that was a stereotype.
Me neither. Well, and then there's that John Mellencamp song that's like Little Pink Houses. But I don't think it's about Mexicans.
But they talk about Mexicans. It could have been. I don't know. So, also, I'll get my last one out of the way, of course. My dad is in New York right now, so he can no longer make his guest appearances on the show. But this is my dad. Some people from his company made this. Like, he was their boss or whatever. It's Wayne bin Laden. My dad is Osama bin Laden. But it's very common on our previous episodes where my dad would make random drunken appearances on our show. We definitely miss him. Hopefully he'll be able to make it to one of our episodes at some point. But there two of my favorite dad appearances, like when I was staying with them on the show, where of course there was the pistachio incident.
There were multiple.
There were multiple pistachio incidents where my dad loved pistachios, his favorite thing in the world, and occasionally I would get drunk and I would eat all of them. And one night he was drunk and looking for his pistachios, and then he came in and he just came in and said, "Where are my pistachios?" And just punches me in the face, just hauls off and just punches me in the face of her bag of pistachios. And then we had him recreate that incident several times. And then there's also that moment when my dad was on the show where he was extremely drunk. And I'm not sure if he might have taken some Ambien that night. He sang a beautiful rendition of Ground Control or To Major Tom or Space On, whatever. David Bowie. And that was a great dad moment. So those are all my plugs. And now you also have a book that you didn't ask to plug it, but I want you to, because I've read almost half of it. It's amazing, and I'll go ahead and let you talk about that.
Okay, well, earlier this year, from about, February to 9/11, I just started and worked very diligently on a novel. I've been a big fan of 9/11 for many years now. Been making a lot of artwork related to 9/11. And I thought it was time to do something new related to America's favorite event. And so
the event that changed America.
Yeah.
for the worse.
Yeah. So I wrote the first, as far as I know, the first comedic novel about 9/11 called Colby the 9/11 Parakeet. And it's about a young man in the year 2001 named Donald, who moves from Wisconsin to New York City.
Known as Donnie Smoke, who's like one of my favorite characters now of all time, my favorite literary character. Go on. I will say that as I was first reading this, when you first sent the rough draft of it to me, I was reading it while I was visiting New York, and I just kept finding myself going into the mindset of Donald Smokes. He's so ridiculous. He's just, he's just this stereotypical, like, Midwestern guy who's just, all fixated on New York and becoming a New Yorker, or I'll let you explain. But just really absurd stuff, like just talking about the Statue of Liberty everywhere he goes, and and I found my kind of drifting into that mindset while I was in New York. So the character got under my skin, and that's a sign of good writing, really. But I'll let you finish on.
Yeah, it's about a young man who moves to New York, and just he gets inspired by a TV show, and also he eats some beef jerky that's spoiled or something, and that affects his brain. And that
he's a big fan of beef jerky. That's like one of his favorite things in the world.
Yeah, and he moves to New York, and he's really excited to be there. And then he has some things happen to him, and he encounters we'll call it a brain bird named Colby. Basically, almost like an evil spirit, but not quite. Just a strange creature that may or may not be all in his head. And
right, not sure. It could be a hallucination, but also it could be,
yeah. So you'll have to read the book to find out exactly what's going on there. But
definitely, spoiler alert here.
And once you
do you have the artwork for it? Or?
Yeah, and basically Colby makes Donald's New York experience become very insane, and of course 9/11 is involved. I'd rather not give details more than what I've said already, but yeah, it's
all I can say is jet fuel does not melt steel beams.
Yes, that is true. And now I'm looking for my artwork here. I had it up, and now it's decided to disappear on me. Okay, here we go. Well, this is, unfortunately, it's only showing part of it, but you can go on Amazon.
That's good enough.
Yeah, go on Amazon.com, look up Colby the 9/11 Parakeet, and it's $4.99, and it's a wonderful novel that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
and that's Colby, Colby Colby, just for people who need that rectified.
I'm biased, obviously, but I think it's pretty funny. I was
laughing. I laughed out loud, and I could tell you were laughing out loud while you were writing it. So. Definitely.
Yeah, I was laughing a ton while I was writing it, and I didn't know how other people would react to it, but so far everyone I've talked to has told me that like they were pretty much in tears from laughing so hard through it. So that was the exact reaction I was hoping for. So yeah.
And that's good because yes, the events of 9/11 were definitely a tragedy. I just realized the correlation of Wayne bin Laden to what we're talking to. But it was a tragic event. But I mean, I think laughter is the best medicine for tragedy. So don't read it with an open mind. Don't be all offended. Don't take it offensively. This isn't something. I mean, I think I'm one of those people. I think that you can pretty much joke about anything, in a healthy way. I mean, I think laughter, it's definitely, as long as you're not trying to specifically hurt or offend anyone, then definitely. But anyhow, so episode 1. This is your new. Is that what is our new title?
Oh,
the new
blood. Talkin, Kirk, your weekly podcast. The new blood. Episode 1.
Blood. Right, which we had about 52 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, of our of the Foggcast. Many of them are not available. A lot of them are for any of our new viewers who'd like to go back and see what this show used to be. It's going to be quite a different format for many reasons, which we'll get into. But many episodes are not available. But we'll kind of recap some of that and try to get caught up to speed. I do know that we possibly should have some of our other regular hosts on here, Michael and David. We're waiting on to hear back from them. Have you heard anything? Or?
Well, I know David is watching, and I'm not sure he's ready to come on yet or not. But yeah, he's definitely.
All right. Well, David, I missed you. This Coke's for you, and it's a toast to David. David was our only viewer, the only one who would really watch our live stuff. But he definitely was devoted to the Foggcast, and I appreciate it. It was, he was there, and he did make some appearances. David, definitely, we'd love to have you on later on in the show if you feel like coming on to talk. But for now, just sit back, enjoy. The last season, if you will, of the last before the New Blood, which you started now, the Foggcast. How would you describe what we did?
It was basically watching self-destruction over a series of years.
Over a series of like 2 years. And it was. I know I would often refer to it as almost like a psychological snuff film, because I wasn't actually. Well, I was killing myself as far as I was not doing healthy things in my body. Lots of alcohol and drugs, but also just the psychological thing was one of the biggest factors. During the episodes in Virginia, I really did lose my mind. By the end of that Virginia ordeal, I ended up in a mental hospital. So it really was a psychological sort of snuff of just but it was just about destruction, self-destruction, and mental just whatever. But
with a lot of jokes about Travis Tritt and various other things thrown in by everybody.
Right. A lot of there was bestiality. It was a common thing. Never full penetration or anything like that. A lot of domestic violence.
A lot of domestic
domestic disputes. Is very common. In Madison, I feel really bad, and for a lot of things how that went, but I was all in good fun, but it seemed more like an episode of Cops was about to break out. I would just a lot of yelling and cussing and her trying to shoot me with the bow and arrow and things like that. And it was funny when we did the episodes in North Carolina that where I was staying with Josh and Liz, who are also they would occasionally come on the show. Yeah. And but I actually lived with them, and Liz sort of took Madison's place. Even though it was Josh's girlfriend, I would still just yell at her and just say terrible things to her. Just go into my redneck mode. There's that, and of course the show Talkin, Kirk. Is based on conspiracy theories regarding Nickelodeon, and specifically the show Legends of the Hidden Temple, where Kirk Fogg was the host, and talking about how Nickelodeon's heavily involved in the Illuminati as far as brainwashing children, and the lizard people, and just definitely use it just to keep kids just placated, and not just that, but just fixated on this world. There's a lot of evil that goes on beyond it, but also through Legends of the Hidden Temple, there's a lot of symbolism in the show we talked about, but also the fact that it was basically it was a form of breeding, because it's all about genetics with those people at the Illuminati and the lizard people. They're all about genetics, and they were basically trying to breed super kids to go travel as interdimensionally. There are a lot of theories, and that's where space camp was always a prize on the show. They'd always send them to space camp, but that was actually there are two sides to space camp. There's the front, the stuff they show to the world where they actually send kids and they have a fun time pretending to be astronauts. But then there actually is a secret part of the program, because it actually is in a base in Huntsville that, you know, I've been by the facility several times. Whenever I drove to North Carolina, I'd always stop by there and pee on their side. I'd pee on Space Camp. But yeah, you know, it's a big facility, you know, and they had access to all kinds of stuff. I mean, I would not be surprised, you know, if they had like an underground program, you know, to train children to travel to space or travel, you know, through wormholes, you know, interdimensionally. But anyhow, so, you know, we have a lot of conspiracy theories about that, Nickelodeon, you know, brainwashing children and things like that. And you know, a lot of, and we talked a lot about Kirk Fogg, about the host. You know, we talked about his movie and his career, and we'd like this season, you know, hopefully get him on as a guest so we can finally interview him. Yeah. So that was pretty much the show. It was basically just drunken insanity for the most part, you know.
Yeah.
Like as the further it went along, we kind of gave up on. I mean, you know, we decided that there's no way we're ever going to defeat the lizard people, so you know, we just moved on. But we did take on other narratives, but the primary narrative just became self-destruction, you know, as you mentioned, and so. What else have you been up to since then? Since we left off, which would have been that episode in August.
Other than Colby, nothing real exciting.
Still working at the library, which that's definitely. I look forward to talking more about that. About the library. Well, you'll probably do a better job of describing it, but basically, I always look forward to your stories about the people you run across, like the specimens. A lot of, you know, because a lot of homeless and mentally ill people come to the library to use the internet, basically.
Yep.
But there are a lot of interesting characters you come across there, and I look forward to stories about that as usual. And so yeah, and as far as let's see, I left off, you know, like I guess it would have been around August, like that, maybe 9/11. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those times are a little blurry for me, but I know we did like our last few episodes at Josh and Liz's apartment. You know, I think our very last episode got cut short because Liz just pulled the plug because she got tired of me yelling and cussing at her, and so after that, I had moved to North Carolina because I was gonna try. I just knew I had to get out of Mississippi. It just wasn't going good for me over here, and it only got worse when I came to North Carolina. I was gonna try to get a job that, and you know, ended up just doing even more drugs and drinking a lot, and see, after that, I mean, you know, it's kind of a long story as far as what I've been through. Basically, I finally, you know, I ran out of money, you know, didn't have a job, just didn't have, I don't know, I was just in a state of depression and just death. And I was just miserable. And I, you know, had to, you know, for like the 50th time, you know, come back running home to my parents, my tail between the legs, and stay with them again. And so they got me a bus ticket, and I knew it was going to go just like I was sitting outside of the gas station waiting on the bus, and I had poured beer into a paper cup, and I was sharing it. Like I got 2 cups. I was sharing a 40 with this homeless guy. This bee, I think it was a hornet, like stung me in the lip. Like it got into my beer and like stung me in the lip. And so I ended up not being able to get on that bus because it turns out that there was a problem with my ticket or whatever. And so I just had to have Josh and Liz come take me back to their apartment, and my lip just swelled up. Like I just looked like a cartoon, huge lips. It looked ridiculous. And so I went back to their house. But yeah, I eventually got on the bus the next day, and around Knoxville, Tennessee, I stopped and you know, I've commonly been. It's not an uncommon thing for me to get thrown off of a Greyhound bus for being. I believe this is the 7th time it happened. I don't know how many times, because like anytime I came to North Carolina, you guys probably were placing bets on whether or not I'd actually make it without getting thrown in jail or thrown off the bus. Yeah, so I got thrown off. Or actually, this time, see, they had already warned me at the bus station in Knoxville that I smelled like vodka. They weren't going to let me on the bus. They told me just to wait there and sober up or whatever until the next bus came. So I waited, and finally the next bus came. And oh, by the way, before I left Josh and Liz's, I stole a bunch of Liz's pills, a bunch of her drugs, and I feel bad about that. But I honestly, at this point, just didn't care. I was just I didn't think I'd ever see him again. Because I had pretty much just reached a point where I just didn't care about anything anymore. I didn't really have any like aspirations if I ever did, but it's just I didn't. I had absolutely no hope for the future, and I was just ready just to just keep destroying myself and just keep on fogging, I guess. I got thrown off, and then as I waited, the next bus finally came, and as I was getting on the bus, I remembered I had a bunch of pills in a bottle, so I was sitting in my seat waiting for the bus to leave, and I pulled out the bottle and I dumped them in my hand. I accidentally dumped like a giant handful of pills, and the bus driver came walking up to me, or because he's walking through checking people's IDs or tickets or whatever. And, he saw me sitting there with a handful of pills, and he said, "All right, that's it, off the bus." Like, he just kicked me out. And I'm like, "What? This is just my medication." He's like, "I don't care, get off the bus." And so I got kicked off again before the bus even left the station this time. And because he already smelled the vodka still on my breath, because I didn't stay and sober up. I still drank. I wasn't going to sit there in a bus station sober for 3 hours. I mean, come on. So so I was still drinking. And so he'd already been, he wasn't going to let me on the bus, but, the other guy who had been there, like the cop or whatever, their security guard, I think it was an actual cop, he told him that he had talked to me and that, he told that it would be all right. So he got me on the bus, but when he saw me with a handful of pills, that was it. He just kicked me off the bus, and I said some hateful things to him. And anyhow, at this point, I was given the option to wait for a bus again. And instead of doing that, I just left the bus station, and I still had like just money was my name, just like $100 or something like that. And I took a cab to a motel, and I went to a store, bought a bunch of stuff, and some more alcohol, a bottle of vodka, and I went to went to the hotel room, and I turned on the Weather Channel, and I wrote this kind of long manifesto, the lizard people are always going to win. You're never going to defeat the lizards. And then I ripped a bunch of pages out of the Bible from the book of Daniel and just scattered them around and glued them or taped them to the wall and stuff. And then I sat down watching the Weather Channel and tried to kill myself. I overdosed on pills. Oh, no applause?
I was trying to.
Yeah. So no. Yeah, because I wanted to at least go out, like kind of make it sort of like a performance art piece, for somebody. I appreciated the idea of somebody like the maids or whatever coming in and finding a dead body and watching the Weather Channel surrounded by empty pill bottles and with a manifesto about lizard people and a bunch of pages from the Bible everywhere. And it was a nice thought to me, I just wanted to have a nice little thing to go out on. And so yeah, and I'd taken like several. I mean, I took like a couple bottles of like 30 or 40 Klonopin, and I took just a lot of various psych meds that I never took anyway. Like I just had bottles of them because I never took my psych meds because I was insane. But I also bought I had bought heroin from Josh's neighbor, and just did all that. And uh, in the morning, the maids had bursted into the room, knocked on because they'd been banging on for hours, and I was covered in vomit, just a big puddle of vomit on the ground. Which I'm look at it and pull a Jimi Hendrix because that could have easily choked on that vomit. But that is what saved my life. I didn't vomiting up all that stuff. Which I don't remember. The last thing I remember is watching the Weather Channel. And I was completely content with it. That was the thing. Like at that point, I was actually happy for the first time in my life in a long time, or at least on it. It was weird. But anyhow, yeah. So I gotta clean myself off and just grab whatever my stuff I could and just took off for the woods because I knew they were probably calling the cops or whatever. And I went and slept it off in the woods for a while. And he came and picked me up. All the way from Mississippi, drove to Knoxville and got me. And I came back here, and I'm not sure. We didn't film any episodes when I got back. Hello? Nick, you there, buddy? I think we're having some technical difficulties. We are still live. I guess we're going to keep going. See if I can message Nick real quick. We'll find out what's going on. We'll take a break right now. And while we're having technical difficulties, we will play some music for you. Oh, wait, no, here he is. Okay. Good.
Sorry, I accidentally signed out of my email, and I didn't think it would. I was trying to check my regular email, and then I accidentally signed out of here. Sorry.
All right, no, that's fine. I think it's still rolling. It's the live thing has been up this whole time. I think we're still running.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second.
There we are. Back to live.
All right, so yeah, that would have been whatever fall of last year, and I came back to Mississippi and went and I just did. Do you remember if we did any episodes after I got back to Mississippi?
No, we
didn't. I slept. I slept for like 3 days, and then I was just, just really just depressed and just, not doing very good. Went to New York over Christmas and stuff like that, but yeah, I just really wasn't doing very good. And so around, it would have been, March, at the beginning of March of this year, I got to the point where, I knew I was going to kill myself again. And I think it was just a matter of time for I just finished the job. And I was talking to an author / musician. I'm a fan of both his books and music, but his music. And I was talking to Mishko Shubali. There's a plug right there. He has a new book. I swear I'll make it up to you. That'll be out on Amazon, Kindles. It's sort of like his first full length. Most of his writing's been Kindle singles, but this is actually his first, full length novel that's out. Available, I don't know, next year, possibly March. I'm not sure, but anyhow, definitely check it out. He's a good author. But yeah, I was talking to him, and he was pretty much telling me, that I needed to get some help, and I didn't have any money, so I decided I was, and that was kind of sort of the argument. I was just pretty much making up excuses not to go to rehab or anything like that because I didn't have any money, and the only place you can go for free, especially here in the Bible Belt, are faith-based rehabs, and I didn't want that. I wasn't a Christian. I was a borderline atheist, more like an agnostic, but I was an agnostic. I did somewhat believe in God, but I basically, I didn't want to. I just didn't want that. I did not want to go to Christian rehab, but it was the only thing. And as he told me, what said was, if you're thirsty, you can't complain about tap water. You just have to take what you can get. And so I found a rehab here called Broken Lives Ministry in Tupelo, Mississippi. Actually, it's Skyline, right outside of Tupelo. And it's a 4-month program. I checked in, and as soon as I checked into the place, I knew I wasn't going to stay there. Nobody and everybody there knew I was going to leave soon. I mean, it just wasn't for me. I didn't think it was for me. And everybody there. I mean, they're like the people running the place. Like the pastor there is all speaking in tongues constantly, and he was a nice guy. I liked him. He reminded me of like a hobbit, of like an old gray-haired hobbit, because he's very short, and had like gray, almost white hair, but he had these big, like adorable cartoon character eyes. Like and he's very animated, like his mannerisms. You'd just be like, hey, let me take you now. He's all over the place with it. And he, and it's just weird, just speaking in tongues constantly, and all this insanity, casting out demons and stuff like that. And there were no classes or anything on, addiction or anything like that, no therapy or anything. It was all just, we did about 5 Bible studies a day and 3 church services every day. 3 devotions. So it was all just, all Jesus, and there's nothing about addiction at all that we ever really talked about. Occasionally, if we were reading the Bible or reading something from the Bible, we would relate it to addiction or whatever. But for the most part, it was all that. And so I called my mom because she was already planning on moving to New York at that point. But and she had this plan at least for me to go to New York and maybe get into a program up there or something like that. And so I called her and told her, these people were just weirding me out, I don't like it. This just isn't for me, and I asked her, she was going to come pick me up that Friday. And anyhow, so the next day, I remember I was sitting in church and, decided, because I was surrounded by a lot of, good people. I mean, they were just, just kind of people that I've never really gotten along with or associated with, your basic gun-toting, right-wing, rebel flag-waving, Mississippian rednecks, people I just used to have nothing in common with. And, I saw that they really were, getting something out of this, they talked about just feeling the presence of God and all this stuff, and it really having an impact on their life. And I've always kind of gone by philosophy where I'll try anything once, and that philosophy drug wise, I'll try meth, I'll try heroin, I'll try any drug once, but I figured okay, I'll try Jesus. I'll try it. Yeah. And it's I made a sincere prayer, I wasn't gonna just just stumble around it or just, be half-assed about it. But so I did, I said a sincere prayer, in church, just it was silent, but I was just praying that, that God would reveal himself to me, I'm just, I need something, just something, whatever, just to feel whatever this presence of God people are talking about, because always before, going to, going to church, it always just felt like going to, a John Tesh concert or something like that, where all these people are really enjoying it or getting something from it, but I'm not feeling it, and so I basically I prayed for that. The next day, the Jesus Hobbit, our pastor, he asked me during one of our Bible classes if I wanted to be saved, and I said sure, sure, like he was offering me a grilled cheese sandwich or something, like just okay, and he said no, there's no sure about it. Do you want to get saved now? And I was like, yeah, and I realized, I gotta be sincere. And I was like, I do need something. I just tried to kill myself a few months ago. I need something, right? And I did need it, and I just knew. So I was just kind of drawn to it. They asked me to stand up. All the guys in the room came and laid their hands on me, and all speaking in tongues like and everybody's just speaking in tongues, just weirded me out. And I said like the sinner's prayer and everything, and invited Jesus into my heart. And at one point, he's trying to look the Jesus Hobbit guy. He's trying to look me in the eye, and I guess he encountered a demon, and he starts kind of feeling, he's kind of like, I haven't encountered anything like this in a long time. And basically, what manifested was what I can only refer to as like an impromptu redneck exorcism. Like they're all in the room, just like, somebody get some oil. We need some oil. Get some water. It was all just like unorganized, just a bunch of guys just running around. This one guy named Jeff Foxworthy anointing my head with oil. And so they pray, and it goes on for a long time. These guys are still just more intense than ever. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, all this stuff. I cast you to just casting out demons, and it went on for a while, and I kind of went into this mindset of just I took a page from the playbook of any girl, I'm sure, who's ever had to fake an orgasm, where I was just like, if I just play along, maybe they'll get off of me. And so I kind of like played along, tried to even like manifest a tear, just squeeze a tear out, and act like I had some kind of experience. But I'd like to say that I didn't feel any different after it was over, but I did feel oddly at peace, and I was happy, but I was still not planning on staying there. I was still gonna leave. And but that Wednesday, I remember going to church that night and actually being in a good mood. Like I was looking forward to going to church, which never happened my entire life. And so I went to church, and I did start to feel while I was in church, as far as that whole presence of God thing, like I felt the only way I could really describe it are like those first waves of like an acid trip, or like just like those, or any hallucinogen, like those first waves where you're not tripping yet, but you can feel something, but I did feel that. But of course, I didn't know, maybe I was just having a flashback. But no, anyhow, I was feeling something, but I couldn't quite. I could just tell that whatever it was powerful. But I was just sort of, just sort of scratching at the surface of it. And so I went to bed that night. I couldn't sleep, and just there were many times in my life where I just I basically would just stay up all night and just hate myself. I could never sleep. I would just stay up all night, and I would just like go through like memories, just stuff I did, and I just kind of like relive stuff all over again. Like I was just right back there in that moment. And it was just, I don't know, I started to sort of look at my life in a different way in that moment, where I was just, I don't know, like, it was almost just like I was just getting these new revelations about my life, honestly, like honestly looking at myself in the mirror, like just looking at how like just certain things dominated my life, like my ego was a big thing, and that was a big part of what my experience also to opening up to this whole thing, the whole Christian aspect of what was going on, as far as because at the end of the day, all we should really be asking ourselves is, are we having a positive effect or a negative effect on the people around us, And it's just so by me, being in this place and just kind of sitting there with my arms crossed, instead of actually sincerely listening to what these people were talking about and sincerely opening up, to their religion, that's not helping anyone. That's just that's letting my ego get in the way, like it's irrelevant what my beliefs are at that point, I mean, I'm not saying that you should just conform, to everybody. I mean, it's not about that, but it's just about just being, I mean, to me, like, I would be having a more positive effect on the people, just sort of opening up and listening to them and really, jumping in, drinking their Kool-Aid, basically. And so, that had been a big part of it, my ego, and it really has dominated a lot of my life, and also, but like just self-hatred and stuff, it was pretty evident, I think, even in this podcast, in the last season, that I was laughing and acting like I was having a good time, but I really was miserable. There's a reason I tried to kill myself. I was not a happy camper, but so it was just self-hatred, basically, and what it boiled down to. And just hatred and just self-destruction in general, but nihilism, just not caring. But anyhow, and I was just going through these memories, and suddenly it's just like, almost like just, and it's really hard to explain. It was very similar to the time, the times I've tried DMT, actually, but there were no hallucinations, none of that stuff. Like there's none of it. Was like like a trip like that, but without all the hallucinations and the insanity. But I mean, as far as like the feeling, if that makes any sense, or just the feeling that they talk about like in DMT where you feel like you're communicating, or you're on the same level as higher beings. Like the different beings, like you probably, I know I've read up some of it. You've read a lot more of McKenna and all that stuff, but this is all natural. I wasn't tripping or anything like that. But I mean, I just, that's the best thing I could compare it to. Someone who hasn't experienced it, but it was just very powerful, and it was just like in that instant, it was just like all of that negativity, all that self-hatred. It just got replaced by like just this overwhelming sense of love. Like it was just like pouring out of me. And at that, it's like in that instant, like everything I'd ever heard about the Bible, it was no longer a concept. People talking about, God loves you, God is love, because I could feel that love. I mean, I just feel it just like pouring through me, and it wasn't coming from me, and I could tell that I was in the presence of this higher being, and it was a very fatherly presence, that fatherly sort of love that's just sort of where that made, like, I felt safe, and I just felt like a child, really. I mean, it was really amazing. Like it was at 3, it was 3 in the morning, we're lying in these metal bunk beds. We had like these metal bunk beds with, prison mattresses or like jail mattresses on them. Very uncomfortable. Anyway, I just crawled out of my bed, and I was just weeping tears of joy, and I just like got on my knees, and it was just thank God. It was awesome meeting him. But and just sort of like, I hadn't lost my mind that night. I had finally gone over the edge, or I really, met God. And either way, though, so since then, I called my mom, said I was going to stay at the rehab, finish the program. So I stayed there 4 months, and since then I've, become a full-blown Jesus freak, and all the, loving, effervescent light of Jesus is pouring out of every hole in my stupid head. Like I'm just happy, and that's It's all that really matters, I guess. But yeah, I go around to churches occasionally. Been invited to speak, and just kind of, ridiculous. like knowing me, having people come up to me and tell them that I inspired them to rededicate their life to the Lord and all this stuff, and knowing me, and I'm like, if they just knew who I was, but. Yeah, it's almost. I mean, it's basically like like when I go to speak at churches, it's basically just like I don't know. It's like part stand-up comedy, part tragedy, and just part preaching. I mean, people get really inspired. It's a lot of fun. I love doing it. But also, I've been counseling, or I counseled for a while at the rehab and stuff like that, and occasionally, work like with youth group classes on Wednesday night, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just, I basically, I took nihilism to a point where the most nihilistic thing I could do, because I had exhausted it to the point where the most nihilistic thing I could do was to become a full-blown Christian. So yeah, that's pretty much recapping what's going on since then. And are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, my headphones got unplugged.
Oh.
All right, yeah, there we go. So yeah, I know you've heard parts of that. I've talked to you since then, but that's just a recap, online and everything. So
now the people know they're caught up, hopefully.
Yeah, so now you're caught up.
So probably that means that if you're expecting more crossbows fired at women and drunken insanity that could end in death, you're unfortunately that show is probably not going to be coming back, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. It's just going to be different.
It's still going to be interesting. There's still going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what, people tell me this all the time. And I really try hard not to cuss anymore. Especially mainly, I mean, because, I think God understands if I cuss every now and then. But I mainly just try, and especially just I don't want to be like a hypocrite, especially like in the youth group, like some of the kids I talk to, they're like, I don't want to tell these kids at church, you shouldn't cuss, and then me cuss. I do want to be sincere about it, and so yeah. But I will say that being said, as many people have told me, is like, yeah, just. Yeah, you may have gotten sober and given your life to the Lord, but you're still an asshole. And they're kind of right. They are right. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm working on that. I'm a recovering asshole, I guess, and amongst other things. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what you can expect now. If you don't mind, here, if you want to pull up some music here. I'm going to take a short break to go smoke a cigarette and get another Coke.
Okay.
And meanwhile, we'll try to, David, if you're still watching, we'd love to have you on to talk to us. But yeah, in the meantime, here is some music. If you give me just a minute. I'm using a MacBook, and I'm not used to using Mac, so it takes me a minute to do stuff on here. What is this? Lord. See, we're that's another thing is we're having to use our own original music now because a lot of we think that's the reason a lot of our old episodes got taken down is because we used unlicensed music and stuff like that. So we're trying to use our own music. Okay, and I'm gonna just play like a quick piece from. This is from the Lonely Roaches, our other band, from our album Killing Tino. What is this? Did you hear about the Morgans too, or Space Spaghetti?
Space spaghetti.
Here, I'll just play. Yeah, I guess we'll just play that song. So, I will be back shortly.
All right.
Oh, this is a music video too, so hold on.
Okay, now we're probably going to get in trouble.
Did you hear about the Morgans? This guy's still out there. I recommend you both.
Okay, that did you hear about the Morgans video was coming up, and that's probably going to result in this whole thing being wiped. A good old Stalinist purge from our friends at Google because of, 3 seconds of a clip of a preview of some movie that nobody will ever watch. Yeah, so sorry about that, folks. Hopefully they won't catch it. Oh, God, okay.
Okay. Wait, was the sound off during that whole thing?
No, what happened was right after the Lonely Roaches song finished, it went to that "Did you hear about the Morgans" clip? And so I was like, I thought, they'll possibly, delete this or mute it because we showed some copyrighted stuff on accident. So I muted it just a few seconds ago to keep it from playing the rest of that "Did you hear about the Morgans" clip.
Okay, good.
But unfortunately, about 2 or 3 seconds of it played. I hope that's not enough to get this video banned. Or
I don't think it will. Especially because we're on a new channel now. Yeah, we should be all right. We'll have to avoid that kind of stuff in the future. But so anyhow, I guess on with any burning desires or topics you'd like to discuss?
Well, I just saw a news article while you were gone about this woman who apparently she tried to order a table off of eBay, just like a coffee table. And for some reason, instead of getting a table, she was sent this cooler full of 150 tropical fish. I have no idea why, but
I would have been delighted.
I know. So yeah, that's a thing that happened, and
that's what's going on in the world. Other news, I didn't see where you posted that article about the black guy who was walking into school singing Justin Bieber songs.
Yeah.
And the whole school went into lockdown, like they thought like a school shooter was happening, or was there something like that? Or I don't know. They were all terrified, or I didn't like. I don't know, you know more about the article, or?
Oh yeah, I guess he just kind of like forced his way into the school and just like demanded that he be allowed to use the PA system at these schools. And I think he kind of freaked the principals out, and somehow he managed to get on their loudspeaker, and yeah, he just started singing Justin Bieber songs to school children.
Didn't he say didn't he claim to be Jesus or something like that? Or
oh, I don't even remember but I bet he was doing something like that. I really just don't feel like he committed a crime. I mean, yeah, he broke into a school and he wasn't supposed to be there, but he did something wonderful for these kids. He didn't kill anybody.
He just wanted to sing Justin Bieber. Yeah, it's not bad. Like I don't know. I guess they could have arrested him for trespassing or whatever, but like I don't know. I don't know what he's charged with, but I definitely I know. I'd be happy, definitely to raise support on the internet and to make sure that he doesn't get into trouble, because I think that that's something that, I have the right to sing Justin Bieber to children. I don't know. Yeah. So there's that. It was Hickory, our hometown, North Carolina. I I don't know. There's just something in the water there, man. The town is just it breeds a special type of person. It bred us, but it, you know,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of insane stuff happens there all the time.
Well, you know, my dad told me this story once. I've tried to find some other like sources for this, but maybe my dad just heard it from some people who heard it, but it might not actually be documented anywhere. But you know, Billy Graham, the evangelist, his headquarters and his home are in Asheville, North Carolina, which is like an hour and a half from here. And so whenever he would go out and do his crusades and stuff, usually he would take like a small plane out of Asheville and then fly it to whatever airport or wherever he, was going to be leaving from to go to other parts of the world. And so, leaving from Asheville meant that he would a lot of times be flying over Hickory. And according to the story that my dad said, every time he would fly over the town, like he didn't really know anything about the place or anything, but he would feel like really compelled to pray about it. Like,
there's a big like demonic force just hovering over that city.
Yeah, so like he felt like every time he was over Hickory, like he really needed to pray for this place, and because and it makes sense.
I just know there's a Mexican down there trying to open a chicken ranch.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, and that's, like you hear people will say that when they're here, they're just like, if it's their first time here or something, like a lot of people that come into the library are like, they're staying at the Salvation Army and they've just come from other parts of the country or other parts of the state. For some reason, they all
like people you meet at the library, or?
Yeah, the homeless people or the people that are living at the Salvation Army are here from other parts of the country or other parts of the state. I for whatever reason, they've heard that Hickory is a good place for them to come. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I see a lot of New York and California and Texas, and Arizona IDs.
I see that you're a crazy homeless person. Have you ever heard of the town called Hickory, North Carolina?
Yeah, and so they all come here, and then some of them will come. They'll be like, I heard all these great things about this place, but it's a horrible, evil place. So yeah, there's something to that. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of things about it. I mean, there's just something. I don't know if it's something in the water, or maybe Billy Graham is right. Maybe there's just maybe Satan just is running rampant in that town. But yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, there's just this air of just failure about everything there. I don't know, just this hopelessness, Food Lion, the grocery store, some of the other grocery stores. And, or Bilo, is that still there?
Bilo
where's
is gone.
No.
Fresh Air Galaxy.
Fresh Air Galaxy is the one I was thinking about. Yeah, it's like for every type of business, like grocery stores, for example, they have a nice version, but then they have a really, really terrible version, and then they have an even more terrible version. And it's the hierarchy. They have Lowe's Foods, and then they have Food Lion, and then if you just really have given up on life, they have Fresh Air Galaxy.
Where I don't shop there all the time, but I'm pretty regular there. I feel more at home. Yeah. I feel more comfortable. You go to these other grocery stores, and it's there's people with nice cars, and they haven't completely given up on life. But when you go to Fresh Air Galaxy, it's just everybody's just on the brink of jumping off a cliff, and you feel a kind of kinship with them. Like, yeah, this is nobody's like pretentious at Fresh Air Galaxy, and everybody's just like real, and I like that.
Yeah, no one wants to be there, but everyone understands that that's the only place they can go.
Yeah.
That's just and okay. Remember the Go grocery store?
Yes.
They had their. I didn't get to go as many. I bet I went there a couple times, but I know you got to go there very regularly.
Yeah, Josh and I enjoyed that place, and yeah, it was just the name Go, and it had a very 80s logo, and sold a lot of strange products that you wouldn't find elsewhere. That's one thing Hickory excels at, is having just like terrible stores.
Terrible store and terrible businesses. Just keeping with the theme of terrible Mexican businesses. I remember one of my trips there, they were trying to open up a new like Mexican club, like a cantina / one of those places where they blare that Mexican music, and show up with their cowboy hats and stuff and dance to. Similar to where Becca worked, the girl I dated in Georgia. Just one of those kind of places, but it was called the Medusa Club.
Yeah,
we really wanted to go there, but I don't know if they got shut down or if maybe like the Chicken Ranch, they never opened at all. But apparently that was. There's just so many. There's Circus Hall of Cream, which is like a clown circus themed ice cream parlor that we used to go to a lot. We almost were arrested at Circus Hall of Cream once for waving around a cap gun.
Yeah.
And so that got shut down now, and it's just been downhill. And just in the same way you talked about the people in Fresh Air Galaxy, everybody's just kind of on the verge of jumping off a cliff. Like, just the people in Hickory in general are like that, or just on the verge of snapping. And occasionally people do snap. Like, there's like there's an axe-wielding clown or something not too long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the story on?
Just some guy, I guess, like, thought it would be funny or something to go harass his girlfriend or ex or friend or something by showing up at her window late at night, or door, dressed as a clown and wielding an axe. And
the cops were on the lookout, man, for a while. I remember they saying that in the article. Like, just cops on the lookout for axe-wielding clown. I'm like, yeah, of course, it's Hickory. Of course there's an axe-wielding clown at Hickory. Yeah, because... go ahead, man.
Yeah, well, like, that was pretty classic, and I think probably the ultimate Hickory story that happened recently. It just defines the place. There's a Mexican restaurant called Salsaritas. It's more like kind of like Mexican fast food. Well, the same guy robbed it 3 times in a row, and I don't even think he bothered. He didn't wear a mask or anything. He just kind of like went in and said, "Yeah, just said, like, give me all your money." And then the 3rd time he did it, he actually interrupted a marriage proposal.
Oh yeah, let's. Yeah, I'm gonna propose to you at Salsaritas. It's like you might as well propose at Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's basically that. So a wedding proposal or marriage proposal was interrupted by a robbery at Salsaritas, and then there also happened to be an off-duty police officer in there, and he stopped it. So that had to be the most Hickory moment ever. Like, a guy robbing a Mexican fast food restaurant for the 3rd time, interrupting a wedding
marriage
proposal, is stopped by an undercover cop. And yeah, Welcome to Hickory.
Yeah, that's Hickory. Yeah, because they don't care. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he didn't even, like you said, didn't wear a mask or anything. You said, and he used a note?
Yeah, I think he just wrote a note that said, like,
Yeah.
I have a gun. Give me all your money.
That's actually how my Uncle Arliss used to rob banks. He was successful at it for a while. He robbed a lot of banks using just writing notes to the tellers. But I come from my dad's side of the family. There's a lot of criminals and drunks. But everybody you meet in Hickory is like you said, either on the verge of jumping off a cliff or on the verge of just snapping and dressing up like a clown and grabbing an axe, or snapping and robbing a fast food Mexican restaurant. Just everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like one straw away from it, man.
And then, of course, we kind of had a brief moment in time where this was known to the rest of the country, and probably other parts of the world knew about the wonders of Hickory because of the comedian John Reap, who he's from here, and he won one of the seasons of Last Comic Standing. And
I've never heard about that guy.
Oh, you've never heard? Oh, yeah. This
is new to me.
Oh, okay. You didn't know? Yeah, John Reap is this comedian from here. He's been in a few movies. I know he was in Harold and Kumar, maybe the second one, and a few others, and some commercials. And
I'd probably recognize him if I looked him up.
Yeah. And so he's from Hickory, and he was the winner of, I don't know what season of Last Comic Standing, but all of his jokes, like his whole routine is all about Hickory. And like, he just talks about like rednecks and things that he did growing up here. And they actually, like, the judges of Last Comic Standing made fun of him for talking about Hickory so much. And so, yeah, like, a lot of the rest of the country got to know Hickory through him.
I mean, can you recall, like, some of his material? Or would we be in trouble for trying to pull it up on YouTube? Or?
Yeah, we'd probably get in trouble for bringing it up on YouTube. But he talks about, like, well, he always calls it Hickory. You have to emphasize the first syllable. Hickory. Yeah,
Hickory.
And he talks about like how like people getting really excited to go on Lake Hickory and calling it the river, and just like he talked about. Let's see. He talked about how he and his friends used to be so bored here that they would go to Burger King and they would put this sign in front of the like the drive-through, like where you order, and it said like the receiver or speaker is broken, so please yell loudly so we can hear you. So people would come up to the drive-through and just start yelling their orders, and all the people in Burger King that worked there would be like, what's going on? So he made it sound
which is something we did a lot, like we, as far as fast food places. Like I remember we used to drive around, like a lot of times we just go through the drive-through, they just be like, welcome to, Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever, and just, can I take your order? And I just scream, no, like as loud as I could, just like deafening volume. And there's like Bojangles, where I would go through the drive-through over and over again and just order a biscuit, just a single plain biscuit. Just like, I want a biscuit. Like on the verge of tears, like, I want a biscuit. And then they'd give me a biscuit for like 49 cents. And I just drive around. I've spent like $15 ordering biscuits.
I remember, we went, that was that one time we went to Checkers. I think it was one of the same days doing that. And you just said, give me a double dad sandwich and a pilot license.
And a pilot license. I forget what the guy said. He had like an attitude about it. He wasn't happy about it. It's like, how dare you make fun of checkers?
Yeah. The guy could see us through a little side window thing,
Mm-hmm.
and
I forget.
he knew we were.
I forget what he said. So yeah, messing around in drive-thrus definitely stuff. I mean, yeah, growing up, we did tons of stuff like that, or going to Tony's Pizza.
Tony's, yeah.
So, what other kind of material did he do? Can you think of? Because I never heard of this guy. I didn't even know.
Yeah, you should look him up. He was actually on Getting Dug with High.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched the episode he was on of that, but yeah, he was on that, and yeah, he talks about like he does a pretty good routine about going to the state fair, and just he talks about how like just like the insane looking rednecks that you see there, and like how they serve food there that just doesn't exist anywhere else in the world or like at any other place. And then he has a lot of stories about his family. There's one I really like where he talks about his dad, who I've met his dad a few times because he is one of my dad's patients.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably not supposed to say that, but it's not like it's really going to get out there. But yeah, so yeah, his dad is pretty funny, like his son too. But he tells a story about how like they had a pool growing up, and his dad like there was something like clogging up the drain, and his dad basically made this kind of like redneck scuba suit so that he could spend a long time down there clearing out the drain. And like he used like a garden hose, and then he put like bricks on his feet so that he could stay underwater. But then he got trapped and he couldn't get any more air. And like he was like waving to his kids to try to help him get out. But they thought that he was just like waving hi to them, like, "Hey, I'm underwater," but he was actually like almost drowning. And it just sounds like.
Why didn't he just drain the pool?
I know, yeah. I know
it's a lot of water.
Yeah,
that's a lot of water. But I've done that.
It's a pretty good story.
Yeah, and I've had to drain pools before. I've ruined people's pools before. Like that happened one night. It was on the 4th of July. We were at this guy's house, and he wasn't even there. But he had told us we could hang out there with a bunch of people on the 4th of July. I believe we were all on 2CE, and having a grand old time. And the guy was an artist. He's actually a really good artist, and like he's a paraplegic, and he developed this weird method of painting, or really interesting method of painting. He uses like paper plates or just different things, just because he doesn't have arms, or full arms. But anyhow, he has his paint studio right there by the pool. So like anyhow, we started messing around in his paint, and like it was just anyhow, we all were just covered in like paint, and like we all jumped in the pool, and the pool just got trashed. Like it turned into like this murky periwinkle colored pool you couldn't see through. And then so like the next day, like the groundskeepers for the place showed up. And they're just looking at the pool, and they're just like a bunch of beer bottles and like a pink flamingo floating around in this just purple like periwinkle pool. Like it was such a mess. Yeah, so we had to drain the pool out for that and clean it. Actually, no, we didn't. They did. We just left. But yeah. So as far as I'll definitely have to check that guy out. I'm always interested in people from Hickory, and there's a take on it.
Yeah, he's.
I know for us, like a big thing growing up there was just the troll hunting and goblin hunting.
Yeah.
Where we just go to Walmart, just look for weird-looking people. It's like, and when we give them different classifications, like, that's definitely a goblin over there.
And now it's, we used to have to go and hunt them down throughout town, but now I have the luxury of just basically sitting there and getting paid and having the trolls come to me. Like, I don't have to hunt.
You're living a dream.
Yeah. I mean, they're just nonstop. I get some of the finest specimens just showing up and sharing their lives with me.
What are some of the latest ones that have come in there?
Let's see. There's this weird guy that he looks sort of like the guy on the can of Pringles, that face with the giant mustache.
Yes.
And he has a weird voice, talks kind of like this. And we always noticed that there was like this weird bulge coming out of the side of his stomach, but it didn't look like a tumor or anything like that. It just looked like this, like he was trying to hide a fanny pack or something under there. And every day we'd see him like this. And then one day my coworker Martin was in the bathroom at the same time as this guy, and he noticed that as soon as he walked in, the guy had his shirt up and he started rolling up this plastic bag thing really quickly and shoving it back under his shirt. And there were little brown flecks around it. And Martin realized that it was a colostomy bag that he's like emptying in the library toilets. Yeah. And yeah, he's just a strange little man with a colostomy bag. And
right.
Then there's this guy that he's missing a lot of teeth, and he also looks like Gollum, just like the pastor you were talking about. And he he looked like
a hobbit. He looked like a hobbit.
Oh, like a hobbit. Okay, this guy looks like Gollum. And he's always writing these lyrics for gospel songs, and they seem terrible, and he's always coming up to me asking me how to spell certain words. They're always like really simple words. Like, he has no trouble spelling really difficult, unusual words, hallelujah, stuff like that. But how to spell the word, like, what's a really simple word like took? He'll be like, how do you spell took? And I have to write it on a sheet of paper. And so, yeah, I'll have to write it on a sheet of paper. And then he always will look at it and he'll go, yeah, like he's really excited about seeing this word. And so, so I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's what took looks like. Yeah.
So yeah, he sits there writing these gospel songs, and I'm like, this is so, like, what is the point of this? But it turns out, I found out that he has actually sold his lyrics before to, like, I don't know, different places that buy songs or recording companies or something. And but now,
like for a decent amount of money, or like he's actually,
yeah, he gets royalty checks and stuff for these gospel songs that he's written. But he looks like this insane, toothless Gollum creature that doesn't know how to spell basic words. And lately he's been like, he's planning this whole like basically like the equivalent of Woodstock, but for like gospel music. And I feel like it's all in his head. Like he's imagining this huge, like hundreds of thousands of people showing up for a 3-day event with all kinds of gospel groups, and he's making flyers for it, and like,
You think it's all in his head?
yeah, but I really don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I think he's just like imagining this. I don't even know how he thinks he's gonna talk to these groups, but then I wonder sometimes if he isn't gonna surprise me, and then sure enough, there's gonna be this huge gospel festival, and he's gonna be like the promoter guy behind it all. But it most
Is he staying at the Salvation Army?
You would think that he was, but he actually he talked about his manager once. I was like, whoa, he must work at some factory or something. And I don't he just seems like somebody that couldn't survive in the world, but he does somehow.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten any co-writing credits with him, even though I've helped him with. I mean, I haven't come up with any lyrics for him, but I've helped him spell and come up.
Right,
with,
that counts.
Yeah.
Help him spell too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think when I was in New York, I was talking to Forrest about, and that's another person a missing host that he would have probably been on tonight, but right now he does not have a webcam. But when I was in New York this last time, I was going to attempt to write some gospel music, and it just turned out really bad. Because it was like fortune teller style gospel music.
Oh,
it's just like, Jesus is my battleship. It was just a bunch of retarded stuff, but trying to think. Have you talked to David yet? Is he going to be making an appearance?
Well, he was listening, and he said this story is insane. He was talking about your story about the exorcism and everything, and and all that. But I think he said he got he missed part of it, and then he said he had to go. So I don't know if he's actually going to be here or not.
Okay.
And I still haven't heard back from Mike yet. So I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, if it's all right, I'm gonna take another short break. I'm gonna go down for a cigarette. But we can try to get back to some more stuff. If you wanna find something to listen to or whatever, I guess we'll take another short break and we'll try to carry this thing on.
Okay. Okay, folks, I'm gonna try to find some musics for you, if I can. No, everything will probably get in trouble for sharing. Sorry. Intermission. No, I've got a better idea. Morning. It's a great Money, give me some. I'm in a band called Pink Floyd. I'm dumb. I'm in a band and I want to get money for this album about stuff. Some stuff. Some stuff. Some stuff. Some stuff. Thank you. That was Money by Pink Floyd off their legendary, all-time, best-selling, multi-platinum, unforgettable, Dark Side of the Moon. Boom, 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 boom. Taking away the moments that make up a dull day. Feeling waste the hours in an offhand way. Sitting around, kicking ground in your hometown. Waiting for someone or something to show you the way. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain. You are young and life is long and there is time to kill today. Then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one knows you when to run. You missed the starting gun. I'm too long, I'm too long to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. Racing around to come up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older. Shorter of breath, and one day closer to the hill. Every year is getting shorter, never seem to find the time. Plans that either come to naught or half a page of scribbled lines hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. The time is gone, the song is over. But I had something more to say. Home again. I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Far away across the field, the tolling of the iron bell calls the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. Thank you. That was Time, also off of Pink Floyd's legendary superstar, all-time amazing thing album known as The Dark Side of the Moon.
Ugh. All right. So, I think you still haven't heard from David, right?
I'm pretty sure he had to go.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to say, if you want, we can go ahead and wrap this up for tonight.
Yeah.
I was going to go eat and watch a movie with my mom. And I think we've pretty much got everything. This has been a getting up to speed, getting back in the groove. I think we've pretty much accomplished that. For all you Foggcast fans, hopefully you'll stick around. We're definitely going to progress from here. You know, this has just pretty much been an impromptu thing we do together. But we definitely are going to have. We hope to do some interesting things with the new blood, the new season.
Yeah.
And so just thanks for tuning in, and we will definitely make this more fun next time.
Yes, everybody, have a good life until next
Have a good
time.
life. Yes. And keep talking Kirk.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Folks.